Imagine that you are someone who, until recently, was in a highly productive state. For weeks, you were reading lots of books, exercising regularly, and delivering your tasks on time. Everything seemed to be going great. But suddenly, something changed. Maybe you woke up feeling disoriented, or perhaps it felt as if an invisible force had drained your energy overnight. Whatever it was, now everything seems much harder. You feel exhausted, unmotivated, and the reason you were being so efficient has vanished from your mind. That mental clarity you had so fresh yesterday seems to have faded. Slowly, this lack of motivation begins to seep into other areas of your life. When you think about going to the gym, you decide it's too much effort and postpone it. That lost day turns into 2, then a week. At the same time, you start consuming more unhealthy food and spending hours in front of the TV or playing video games. Furthermore, you not only stop doing the things you know you should do, but you don't even want to try. It's as if you've completely forgotten the reason that drove you to be so proactive. This cycle of high levels of success followed by periods of self-destruction is something many people experience. Although the underlying causes can be complex and psychological, I want to offer a practical guide to getting out of these kinds of ruts and regaining momentum. The first thing I want to clarify is that this approach does not replace professional therapy if you have clinical depression. I'm not a therapist, just someone sharing what has worked for me. Also, although I'll talk about quick strategies, don't expect instant results. Getting out of a negative streak takes time and effort. The first technique is what I call the principle of doing something. This approach is based on triggering action. We often think that to start anything, we need to be motivated, and that motivation comes from being inspired by something. For example, you might be browsing online, find an inspiring video, and, after watching it, feel energized to act. However, this principle challenges the idea that inspiration precedes action. Instead of waiting to be inspired to do something, you can start by taking a small action, which will generate the motivation needed to continue. For example, if you need to write a 4,000-word essay, don't think about everything you have to do. Simply open the document, write a random sentence, and stop. That small action might be enough to make you want to keep writing more. In fact, we already make decisions without motivation all the time. Do you need a profound revelation to take a shower? No, you just do it. These kinds of everyday actions can be the same ones you use as a springboard to gain momentum and move on to bigger things. If you're paralyzed waiting for a spark of inspiration, do something simple like brushing your teeth. It's a constructive action that can help you generate momentum to tackle something more significant. The second strategy involves rewarding yourself for small achievements. Maybe you feel that celebrating minimal victories, like showering or tidying up your space, seems unnecessary or even a bit ridiculous, especially if you know you're capable of much more. However, when you're in a vulnerable state, it's crucial to recognize and value these small steps. The reason behind this has to do with the different parts of your brain. A more primitive part, near the brainstem, is associated with emotions and motivation, while the more advanced prefrontal cortex handles logical and abstract decisions. If you use your logical side to convince the primitive side to act, you must do so with some balance. If you're too strict with yourself, this more emotional part may rebel and sabotage your efforts. It's an internal negotiation where you need to guide your primitive side with compassion, gradually gaining its cooperation. For example, if you manage to convince yourself to perform small tasks like organizing your space or showering after days of inactivity, allow yourself a break. Even though your logical side knows you could do more, sometimes relaxing and celebrating that small achievement can be just what you need to recharge and continue. If you feel that taking breaks could hinder your progress, don't worry. There's a way to leverage this strategy without losing momentum, but we'll see that in the next part. The third strategy for getting out of a negative streak is what I call progressive overload. This idea is inspired by the world of weightlifting, where you gradually increase the intensity of your workouts to strengthen your muscles. In this case, it's about applying a similar approach to your productivity. Instead of falling into an all-or-nothing cycle where you push yourself to the limit for a couple of days and then collapse into self-indulgence, this strategy helps you build a lifestyle that is more sustainable and productive in the long term. It's about slowly increasing your daily responsibilities and actions, rewarding yourself for small achievements, and comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. For example, if you decide to set up an action plan to get out of a slump in a week, it's much more realistic than trying to change completely in a single day. The first day could simply consist of taking a small constructive action, like organizing a corner of your space. That would be enough to consider the day a success. The next day, you could reflect on how good that small action felt and propose doing something a bit more challenging. With each passing day, you take slightly bigger actions, and organically, you start noticing how both parts of your brain work together. Eventually, your logical side and emotional side will be in sync, allowing you to regain the energy and productivity you had before. Imagine this process as the rebirth of a phoenix, emerging little by little from the ashes. This approach not only helps you get out of a rut, but also prepares you to sustain success in the long term. But remember, all this requires patience. You can't force your brain to change overnight. You have to allow both parts, the logical and the emotional, to collaborate in constant balance. Of course, this kind of synergy is crucial for sustainable success. If you can master this internal relationship, not only will it be easier to get out of negative streaks, but you'll also be able to maintain a steady level of progress and personal satisfaction. Speaking of tools to facilitate this process, I want to highlight how reducing friction in your productivity systems can be a key factor. Sometimes, simply having reliable and organized systems eliminates the obstacles that make action feel overwhelming. This can include anything from simplifying your workspace to establishing clear schedules for your activities. In my experience, implementing an organized system has allowed me to maintain productivity consistently. For instance, I've learned to simplify the start of my creative projects, ensuring that each step flows with the least resistance possible. Reducing that initial friction can make a big difference when trying to transition from inertia to action. In addition to systems, another way to decrease friction is to use tools that inspire or indirectly motivate you. Participating in courses or educational platforms can be an excellent way to keep your mind focused and engaged. This not only helps you acquire new skills, but also provides a sense of purpose and achievement that can reinforce your confidence and enthusiasm to keep going. To close this part, I want to emphasize that every small step counts. Sometimes we underestimate the power of small, consistent actions, but it's precisely these that, accumulated over time, produce significant results. So instead of trying to revolutionize your life in a day, focus on gradual progress and celebrate every achievement along the way. To completely overcome an emotional or productive slump, it's crucial to adopt habits that nurture a positive mindset and an intentional lifestyle. This isn't just about the actions you take, but also about the physical and mental environment you create around yourself. Often, when we try to get out of a slump, we make the mistake of filling every moment of our lives with distractions. From binge-watching series to consuming digital content aimlessly, or simply avoiding spending time alone with our thoughts. However, sometimes what we really need isn't more noise, but moments of calm. Silence, something so simple and accessible, can have a profoundly transformative impact. In today's world, we seem to fear silence. Many people feel they can't even perform the simplest tasks without some type of external stimulus, like music, podcasts, or videos. While these stimuli can be useful in certain contexts, they can also prevent us from connecting with the present and processing our emotions. For example, physical exercise, which is often associated with motivational playlists or educational podcasts, can be a tool for practicing mindfulness if done in silence. Running without headphones, lifting weights while listening only to the rhythm of your breathing, or practicing yoga while paying attention to each movement of your body can become a meditative experience. These practices not only strengthen your body but also help you develop a deeper mind-body connection and face the world with greater clarity and serenity. Additionally, incorporating practices like meditation or mindfulness into your daily routine can help you deepen self-awareness and emotional regulation. Meditation doesn't have to be complicated. You can start by dedicating just 5 minutes a day to sitting in silence, closing your eyes, and focusing on your breathing. This small gesture can help you disconnect from external chaos and reconnect with yourself. Over time, this practice not only improves your ability to manage stress, but also increases your focus and overall sense of well-being. Another key aspect of maintaining progress and not falling back into a slump is paying attention to the digital environment around you. We live in an era where digital platforms constantly compete for our attention, and while these tools can be helpful, they're often designed to encourage passive consumption habits. However, with an intentional approach, you can turn them into allies for your personal growth. For example, you can start by modifying the content that appears on your social media. Instead of following accounts that only offer mindless entertainment, look for profiles that inspire, educate, or intellectually challenge you. Engage with content that fosters learning and avoid consuming passively. This means being more mindful of your digital interactions, liking useful posts, commenting on relevant topics, and, most importantly, resisting the urge to mindlessly scroll. Remember, your brain responds to patterns. By training it to associate technology use with enriching activities, like reading educational articles or watching inspiring videos, you'll gradually develop healthier digital habits. Over time, this kind of behavior will become second nature and, most importantly, will help you stay focused on your goals. However, it's not all about technology and silence. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce your exit from a rut is through meaningful conversations. Talking to people who intellectually challenge you or share perspectives different from yours can be an invaluable source of growth. These interactions not only feed your mind but also strengthen essential skills like empathy, effective communication, and critical thinking. When you engage in deep discussions, both the logical and emotional parts of your brain are activated. This creates a kind of mental workout that improves your ability to handle complex situations, make clear decisions, and stay calm under pressure. Moreover, these conversations help you build more authentic and enriching relationships, which are fundamental for emotional well-being. If you feel like you don't have immediate access to people with whom to have these kinds of conversations, there are many ways to find communities that share your interests. Consider joining local or online groups, like book clubs, writing workshops, or philosophical discussion forums. These activities not only allow you to interact with others, but also help you cultivate your intellectual and emotional skills. As you implement these practices, you'll notice that you're not only getting out of a rut, but also developing tools to avoid falling into them in the future. Cultivating patience with yourself is key in this process. It's important to recognize that progress isn't always linear. There will be days when you move forward easily and others when you take a slight step back. What's essential is not letting these setbacks define your journey. Celebrate every step forward, no matter how small. We often underestimate the impact of minor achievements, but it's precisely these that, accumulated over time, create significant change. It's not about achieving perfection immediately, but about moving forward with consistency and determination. Finally, don't punish yourself for occasional relapses. We all face moments of weakness. What's important is to remember that every stumble is an opportunity to learn and readjust your approach. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many times you fall. What truly counts is how many times you get back up and decide to move forward. Overcoming a slump and regaining control of your life is a process that requires time, compassion, and a strategic approach. However, by consistently implementing these practices, you can not only overcome any obstacle you face, but also build a more balanced and fulfilling life. Remember, transformation doesn't happen overnight, but with each small step, you get closer to the life you desire and deserve. Well, that's where our discussion ends for today. Now it's your turn. Take that small action that can change everything and start taking back control. Don't forget that every step, no matter how small, adds up, and that improvement is not a destination but a way of life. If this video gave you an idea, a push, or even a smile, leave a like so that more people can find it. And if you're one of those who believe there's always room to grow, subscribe to the channel. Here, we challenge ourselves to be a little better every day, together. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, close this tab, take a deep breath, and make your next moment count. See you soon, but more focused, all right? Until next time.